Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel on the internet. First on the docket, Chris Watts is back in the news. His bromance is nothing but just good friends. Second, prisoners in California filing unemployment claims. Third, who has it worse, Ghislaine Maxwell or Lori Laughlin? Fourth, lose your bid for a school board? So let's go trolling the internet for underage girls. Fifth, basketball coach is sentenced. And finally, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Crime Talk, and my name is Scott Reisch. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and also hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. Now, first on the docket, as you may recall, about 2 weeks ago, we brought you the story of Chris Watts and his cellmate, buddy, friend, a guy by the name of Dylan Talman. They both received disciplinary write-ups because apparently, allegedly, and it was admitted so by Mr. Talman and Chris Watts, that there were items that were purchased from commissary by Chris Watts that wound up in Mr. Talman's cell, along with some other personal items that included petroleum jelly and Chris Watts' underwear. We'll just leave it right there. Well, the fiance to Dylan Talman has said that, hey, I can say for 100% certainty that Mr. Talman and Chris Watts, that neither one of them are in fact gay, and that they were just good friends throughout this entire process. And they both received write-ups for this, and they aren't even associated or in the same pod any longer. They only see each other when they go to church or maybe see each other passing in the hallway. But apparently they're still writing. The little lovebirds, I guess, just feel as though they can't get enough of each other. Apparently, according to the fiance of Mr. Talman, apparently both of the men are finding life is very hard in prison. And the future wife of Mr. Talman, this Miss Richlano, Krista Richlano, says that she plans to marry Mr. Talman upon his release. I mean, he's got a lot going for him. I mean, he's a career criminal. He's obviously in the Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. And, so I'm sure, it's all just a big misunderstanding. And heck, why not? Ms. Richlano is a clinical psychologist who specializes in sexual abuse and trauma cases, and says that she's worked inside the Connecticut prison system, but she had to quit due to her lupus, the same disease that Shanann had in fact suffered from. She is convinced that Chris Watts was railroaded into his guilty plea and that he is not involved in the killings of his wife, daughter, or unborn son. So I think that kind of shows the mind frame and where Miss Richello is coming from. Perhaps when it comes to her selection of boyfriends. Now, Miss Richello, who sometimes refers to herself as Miss Talman, apparently has met Mr. Talman at least 3 times before the COVID pandemic, but now they're limited to Zoom calls. But apparently they communicate the old-fashioned way where they've at least sent at least 100 letters back and forth to each other. Now, just so we are absolutely clear, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know if this is the person that was associated on the other end of the call that we've put up where they say that Chris Watts was in fact railroaded. Chris Watts was not railroaded. Chris Watts pled guilty. Chris Watts could have said, go to trial, let's do this. He didn't. He chose to enter a plea of guilty. When you plead guilty, you admit as a matter of law and as a matter of fact. So hopefully, and don't get me wrong, this channel basically grew out of the Chris Watts case. But this is getting ridiculous. Chris Watts is guilty. He is absolutely guilty. He pled guilty. It's not like he went to trial and maintained his innocence throughout and said, I didn't do it, I wasn't there. No, he pled guilty. He had competent and effective counsel. So let's get over it and kind of move on here, ladies and gentlemen. I get there'll always be a fascination, but he admitted to killing his wife and children. He did it. Nobody else did it. He did. Let's get that straight. And maybe he can find some more bromances with some new cellmates as the years go by, because he's got a lot of years left to go. That's right. 5 life sentences. He is going to be in there forever. Next on the docket, can you imagine that prisoners in the state of California have managed to be paid $140 million in fraudulent unemployment benefits, many in the name of prisoners, including, that's right, Scott Peterson. Now, Scott Peterson's attorneys say that he's not aware of any circumstance or any sort of facts that say that Scott Peterson was involved or knew in any way that his name was being used. But the Sacramento County District Attorney says more than 35,000 inmates were named in claims filed with the California Employment Department between March and August of this year. Additionally, at least 158 claims were filed for 133 death row inmates, resulting in more than $420,000 in benefits being paid. It's nice to know that the government is really concerned and cross-referencing all these types of claims that are being paid out. Yeah, no, they're not. It's a complete joke, and the fact that now we have $140 million gone, who's going to go collect it? I doubt the state of California will collect little to nothing from these individuals. Now, if Scott Peterson was in fact involved and did knowingly submit a claim for unemployment benefits while he was on death row and obviously life without parole after his death sentence was vacated, that would be bad news for him if he receives a retrial, because they'll be able to use a conviction if one were to be obtained, as it goes directly to his credibility. I can only wait to find out if California gave away $140 million to people in prison. Can you imagine the amounts of money that are going to be discovered over the next year for all of the unemployment benefits that were given out to the states when the COVID-19 pandemic hit and the payroll protection plan went into place? It's going to be absolutely disgusting. Next on the docket, who has it worse, Ghislaine Maxwell or Lori Laughlin? We brought you the story of Lori Laughlin the other day, and she is having some hard times in custody. First, she had to quarantine, then she is released to general population, and she's still basically under quarantine. And yet, worst of all, that's right, she has to wear prison garb and the black prison boots. Fortunately, though, Miss Laughlin and Mr. Giannulli, her husband, have been able to have their accountants pay while they've been in custody the $400,000 in fines that they were ordered to pay. So at least they've got that going for them. Most people who go to prison and get a fine, they can't just pay it off while they're in custody. But the question is, who has it worse? Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously still in custody, and she has now been in custody for 146 days since her arrest on July 2nd. And guess what they're doing to her? That's right. They're not she's having to wear prison garb just like everybody else. And she's getting to wear those Bureau of Prison black boots that are very popular and stylish. But guess what? Despite nonstop in-cell camera surveillance, Miss Maxwell is awoken every 15 minutes by a flashlight to ascertain whether she is in fact breathing. Can you imagine being awoken every 15 minutes? Just when you start to get to sleep again, they come and wake you up. Miss Maxwell is also being excessively and invasively searched and monitored 24 hours a day per her attorneys. And frankly, she's mad as hell and she's just not going to take it anymore. Well, yes, she is. The court's not going to get involved in the security measures and procedures that are being involved as it relates to an inmate at the Bureau of Prisons. It's simply not going to happen. So you let me know, who has it worse, Ghislaine Maxwell or Lori Laughlin? Or is it everything is just A-OK? I don't think there's anything wrong with what is taking place. And frankly, I mean, let's face it, Lori Laughlin, you're doing 60 days. Anybody can do anything for 60 days. You'll be okay. Next on the docket, what happens when you lose your bid for a school board member? That's right. You go out trolling for young girls on the internet. Meet Mr. Aaron Michael Knowles. He unsuccessfully ran this year for the School Board District 2 seat in Clay County in Jacksonville, Florida. Well, he was charged with 2 counts of trying to entice a minor for unlawful sex and 1 more for using a communication device to facilitate a felony. He remains in the Clay County Jail on a $75,000 bond. It is alleged that the Sheriff's Office Internet Crimes Against Children group began its investigation after receiving information that someone was trying to solicit sex from a teen. An undercover operation began with detectives posing as a 14-year-old who was solicited for sexual acts online. An undercover operation was begun with a detective posing as a 14-year-old who was solicited for sexual acts online. During the investigation, numerous requests were made to the detective posing as a child to engage in these sexual acts and send lewd images. Mr. Knowles, when he was arrested, also had his electronic devices seized as well. I guess that all just makes sense. All the pressure and the stress from trying to get on to the school board so he could be near the children, and it didn't quite work out. So he probably had a lot of stress and tension that needed to be relieved. So why not just start soliciting young children? Now, obviously, we give Mr. Knowles the presumption of innocence, but really, come on. Do you think some 14-year-old girl is going to be interested in some 46-year-old guy? Come on. I don't think so. And in other news, ex-basketball coach is sentenced. And what, pray tell, could the basketball coach possibly have been sentenced for? That's right. A former youth basketball coach in Michigan will serve time behind bars for having sex with an underage girl. Jarrell Sanders was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison Tuesday after pleading guilty to a charge of criminal sexual conduct involving a minor. Jarrell, 31, appeared in court and was sentenced for his conduct involving sex with a person between the ages of 13 and 15. The court noted, sexual predators come in a variety of different forms, but many use their notoriety and positions of power to prey on the subordinates and others in vulnerable situations. The court went on to say that this behavior is inexcusable, immoral, and most of all, criminal. And those that think that they can use their authority for their own twisted agendas must answer for the misdeeds. Sound familiar? What have we said, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm not saying there's lots of good coaches out there. I've just seen too many situations where somebody had to be there for the kids. Why are they always there working closely with the kids? I don't know, but they just want to be near the kids. They just love the kids. Let's face it, I have kids. I love my kids. But do I want to go hang out and coach other people's kids? No. And if you're going to be traveling with other people's kids, why would you even put yourself in that situation, ladies and gentlemen? It's absolutely dangerous. No grown adult man wants to hang out with young kids, bottom line. And if you find yourself in that situation, you probably deserve it because it's so obvious. Why would you do it? You can't go find some other job to do. You got to go only coach girls basketball? Really? Come on. Just can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. And yet every time it happens over and over and over again, we act like we're shocked, or we should be shocked. It's called a pattern, ladies and gentlemen. It's called a pattern. Please go to CrimeTalkSearch.com because you don't know if your kid's basketball coach maybe likes to have sex with young people. You'd probably want to check that out. You may want to find out if the guy you're dating is maybe a sex offender as well. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. Yes, there is a nominal fee, but when you pay it, you can anonymously search as many people as you want. And while you wait, a report is generated after a search of literally millions and millions of public records. And you'll get a report generated that you can print out that's going to show criminal history, property records. It's going to show bankruptcies. It's going to show the phone numbers, emails, and social media associated with this particular person. When it comes back and you find out that there's 6 phone numbers associated with this person, why? Is that his burner phone numbers that are associated? It's all going to show up. Why does he have multiple email addresses associated with him? Is that because he uses that for the Tinder accounts? Go check it out. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. You'll be absolutely happy you did. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Please meet Vanessa Huckabee. She was arrested Saturday on charges of cyber stalking and sending harassing phone calls or texts. The 36-year-old Key West woman told Monroe County Sheriff's Office deputies that she started receiving text messages from Huckabee when she began dating Huckabee's ex-boyfriend. Right? Seems logical. Let's harass the new girlfriend. That always brings the person back, doesn't it? Even though the woman got a restraining order against Huckabee, the harassment didn't end there. Instead, deputies alleged that Huckabee set up a fake profile on a dating website commonly used for brief sexual encounters, in which she posted the woman's home address, cell phone number, and an open invitation for men seeking sex. The posting included the statement, "Fresh meth tonight." Well, needless to say, through metadata as well as a little quick investigation, it was determined that it was in fact Miss Huckabee who had set up the site of the ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. And now she is in custody awaiting charges for her cyber stalking. Little rule of thumb here. If the ex-boyfriend doesn't want to be with you, let it go. Don't harass the new girlfriend. Let it go. Now you're going to be a potentially convicted felon for what? For this guy? I don't know. Miss Huckabee is obviously our dumb criminal contestant of the day, but since it's a short week, let's do a quick recap for our contestants for the dumb criminal contestants of the week. As you may recall, on Monday, we had Kiera Clarice, who was our exotic dancer who found herself in trouble for allowing her 2-year-old to vape with the THC pen. And then we had yesterday Mr. Rassenbuth, who choked out his wife and her friend, kicked them out of the house naked after choking them because he did not want to engage in a threesome with them. Add that to Miss Huckabee here today for setting up basically fake Tinder accounts for the ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. You're kind of developing a theme here, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know. Is it the stripper? Is it the man who kicks 2 naked women out of his house who want to have sex with him? Or Miss Huckabee who sets up fake Tinder accounts? Let us know in the comments below. We'll announce the winner next week. The winner will receive, that's right, a Crime Talk mug. And as we've said before, if you want Crime Talk mugs or any other cool merchandise, simply hit the link below so you don't have to become a dumb criminal contestant. That's all we have for you today. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. May you and your family all be safe. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.